Chris Benoit appeared to have everything prior to his passing. The famous and adored professional wrestler had a huge fan base. But the wrestler killed his family on June 24, 2007, and then committed suicide. Wrestling industry was outraged by Chris Benoit's killing of his wife and young son and suicide. Over the course of 22 years, the Quebec-born wrestler progressively rose through the ranks. He began his professional wrestling career in Canada and later competed in Japan before deciding to join WWE in 2000. Benoit was a well-known figure in the WWE, having won 22 championships and winning over a large following. But over the course of 3 days in June 2007, everything changed when Benoit secretly killed his wife Nancy, his son Daniel, who was 7 years old, and then himself. The wrestling industry and beyond were shocked by the murder-suicide. Benoit's use of steroids, WWE's drug testing policies, and the potential effects of his lengthy wrestling career on his brain were all raised by this. Christopher Michael Benoit, who was born on May 21, 1967, in Quebec, Canada, became interested in wrestling at a young age. Benoit desired to wrestle even as a small boy, according to a later account from his father. Benoit began wrestling seriously when he was 18 years old. From the Stampede Wrestling Circuit, he quickly advanced to the New Japan World Wrestling Circuit, then to World Championship Wrestling, and then to the World Wrestling Federation. Benoit became a well-known wrestler along the way. He amassed 22 titles and was widely acclaimed for his talent and technical prowess in the ring. However, he paid a price for his accomplishment. Benoit violated WWE policy by using anabolic steroids and testosterone. Benoit had 2 marriages and 3 children, so he appeared to be able to live a regular life away from the ring, but he occasionally acted violently. The couple's 2000 marriage was short-lived, when Nancy filed for divorce. According to Nancy, Chris Benoit could become unpredictable when he lost his cool, and she was afraid he may harm her or their kid, Daniel. But Nancy later dropped her request for a divorce. As a result, the news that Chris Benoit had taken Nancy and Daniel with him when he committed suicide came as a shock to everyone. Chris Benoit was slated to compete in a pay-per-view match on June 24, 2007, in Houston, Texas, where he was anticipated to take home the Extreme Championship Wrestling World Championship. Benoit, however, did not appear. The wrestler sent a bizarre message to his friend Chavo Guerrero, the late wrestler Eddie Guerrero's nephew, on the same day. In addition to texting Guerrero his address, Benoit had stated that the dogs were in the enclosed pool area and that the back door was open. Guerrero wasn't concerned about Benoit's messages until he discovered that Benoit had skipped the pay-per-view fight. He then informed WWE officials, who made a police call. When they arrived at Benoit's house in Fayetteville, Georgia, which he shared with Nancy and Daniel, age 7, they saw a horrific scene. All 3 of them had passed away. After Chris Benoit's death, there were many unanswered questions. The wrestler had a badly damaged brain, according to Benoit's autopsy, and 10 times the typical quantity of testosterone. Benoit also had an abnormally big heart, which is common in sportsmen who misuse growth hormones and steroids. According to some specialists, Benoit's brain injuries were the reason why the wrestler killed his family and committed suicide. In fact, a few of Benoit's friends observed that he had appeared different just before he passed away. Since his friend and fellow wrestler Eddie Guerrero passed away unexpectedly in 2005, he had been depressed and started acting strangely at this point. However, WWE refused to admit that Chris Benoit's death was a direct result of his profession in wrestling.